All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. And on this edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast, I have the privilege of being joined by my big bro. I'm talking about Cal Wonder God. Cal, how are you doing this evening?
I'm good. Thank you for having me back on the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast, one of the most informative shows for sports around. Thank you for
Uh,
having me.
Well, I definitely appreciate that, man. And I thought about this topic, and you were one of the first people who I thought about with this topic in particular. And I see, your partner as well, Kendu. What's going on, my man? How you doing?
Hey, what's going on, fellas?
What's up, man?
Hey, what's up, Ken? What's up,
Yes,
man?
yes.
Thank you. Thank you for coming in, man. Y'all got to part me. I'm still getting the man cave together and doing what I do and everything like that. So we cracking. What's
Yeah,
up, Ken?
yeah.
How you making out today?
Everything. What up with y'all?
We
Listen, man.
good. Let's do it.
Listen, I'm good. I'm ready to go because I want to talk about this one, man. And my thing is this, man. We have yet to see LeBron Ramon James take the floor and play in the NBA this season. The Lakers already have played 6 games, okay? And LeBron has been sitting out by with what has been described as a sciatica injury. But the question is LeBron really injured? And I'm gonna toss it to y'all with that one.
Guy, well, I'll put it to you like this. I think his ego is injured. I don't think he's injured. And one thing about the way the NBA has changed is it's catering to the players, which is a good thing because a lot of back in the days, a lot of players didn't make money. It was just the league was driven on the league and it was driven around, different things at different points and eras. Today, this is a different NBA as we know it. And I don't think, what you said he had sciatica.
Yeah, sciatica.
What is that?
It's a nerve injury. And the thing is like I know people who have had that. The
I got
sciatica,
sciatica.
so the sciatica is no joke.
Yeah, it's
But
no joke, but no.
listen, I mean, LeBron can
I
sit up
still
there.
get up every day. I work out. I
Mm-hmm.
know he work out heavy.
Right.
So, and they limit his timing of playing as well. So for him to get out there and still do his thing,
Mm-hmm.
it's not stopping him from getting out there.
Right.
I can tell you that because it's like whatever. If y'all see him, he's at the games, he's sitting there, he's smiling, he's good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand how they not gonna clear. They didn't clear him to play. That's not. It's not that serious.
Well, I feel like there's something going on behind the scenes because my thing is, it's like, okay, LeBron wasn't on the road with them recently when they were in Minnesota. He's been sitting on the bench. He's kind of been aloof, this, that, and the third. But then he was at the Dodgers game, during the World Series and stuff like that. Stuff that at the end of the day, it's not going to be good looks, from the PR aspect. And my biggest thing is in a different narrative per se. We've kind of seen this from LeBron before when he doesn't get his way. And it happened with Miami, it happened with Cleveland, it happened with the Lakers before, and now, there's talks, rumors that the Lakers really haven't given him or haven't been looking to give him a contract extension. And you just got to wonder, is LeBron pouting because he's not getting what he wants?
Yeah. I thought about this. Do you know
Hmm.
how many podcasts we've done about LeBron? We did so many we can't even count.
Hmm.
But I remember when he was transitioning from Cleveland after that last loss they had to the Lakers.
Okay.
And I remember I went to do my first feed for Citywide Sports in Vegas at the Olympic Trials.
Hmm.
And this was in the summer of 2017. And I
Okay.
saw all the players. We had media access. It was awesome. Guess who the only player was missing?
LeBron.
LeBron. And obviously there was something going on behind the scenes back then between him. in Cleveland, and
Hmm.
instead of him giving the people what they want to see and by coming out and showing up to play and being, just even being in the arena, he
Hmm.
chose not to. So, the attitude goes way back.
Ken, how about you, man?
I really don't have words for the man. I'm tired of excuses.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's always something when it comes to him, it's like it's okay, I guess. You know, oh, he done did everything. He's this, he's that. Oh, it's okay. He sits out. I remember a time when, because I'm a Spurs fan.
Okay.
I remember a time when Pop sat all three of the players down: Duncan, Ginobili,
Ginobili and
and
Parker.
Parker.
Hmm.
They got fined for that.
Right.
Y'all just coming back off of this whole thing where he was injured, his foot or whatever. This whole thing, the whole summer, it's a new season now. Why is this man not playing?
Right.
It's either you're gonna retire, give it up, let somebody else come in and fill that spot,
Hmm.
or get up and get suited. These people come all around the world to see you play.
Right. And I mean, not just that, because you're 100% spot on with that. My thing is like, what type of example are you setting for the younger guys, and not just the younger guys on your squad, the younger guys around the league? Because the thing is like, you might not want to be, but guess what? You're a leader, bro. And as you go, it's one of those where everybody else is going to go. And typically, the best players are the hardest workers, and we've seen this too often from LeBron from the standpoint where when he doesn't get what he wants, he
Oh,
pouts. It's like I mean, you think about it, a couple of years in Cleveland, he got Paul Silas up out of there. And then it was Mike Brown for the most part until, he left and went to Miami. And then of course, not too long after he got to Miami, he was trying to get Eric Spoelstra up out of there, and Pat Riley put his foot down and said no. As soon as he went back to Cleveland, and I've had this discussion with people before. I don't want to hear excuses about David Blatt, because my thing is this: LeBron knew he was a coach when he signed there. I don't want to hear excuses about Luke Walton when LeBron went to the Lakers, because guess what? Luke Walton was already in place there. You knew what you were getting into. And I still think about that bad look for LeBron first year with the Lakers at MSG. The Lakers are losing to the Knicks. Luke Walton has the team in a huddle, okay, during the timeout calling a play. LeBron is sitting at the end of the bench. Come on, man. Yo, you
feel
can't
like he
do that.
don't have to listen to nobody. He do what
Right.
he want.
That's shades of Scottie Pippen, the year that Jordan was out. And Scottie got mad in the playoffs against the Knicks when Phil Jackson called the play for to take the last shot, and he called it for Tony Kukoc. You know,
Mm.
you can't do that. And I said it at the time of the announcement of the ownership sale. Mark Walter is now the majority team owner for the Lakers. He's also a part of that ownership group for the Dodgers. And of course, if you think about what the Dodgers have meant to baseball for like the last 10 plus years since that ownership changed, the Dodgers have basically become what the Yankees were under George Steinbrenner. And I say this
Correct.
from the standpoint, they're looking to contend for that chip every single year. And they still got a chance tonight at the time of this recording.
I'm
And,
seventh.
right. And my thing is this: Mark Walter is a new sheriff in town. He's not going to placate to LeBron like Jeannie Buss did. I was like, all of this, okay, you know what? We're going to draft your son. We're going to have him on the end of the bench, X, Y, Z. No, Mark Walter is going to do what's in the best interest of the Lakers. And right now, the best interest of the Lakers is building around Luka. Okay, because basically a lot of the
Mhm.
things that LeBron does, Luca does, but of course Luca's much younger than him. And I'm like, listen, you got to start looking towards the future if you are the Los Angeles Lakers.
Well, at the end of the day, I think the Luka move came out of left field last winter,
Hmm.
last season, and
Right,
I think it was a good move for the Lakers
right.
and moving on and keeping a top five player in the league, on their team, and I think it was good. It's good internationally because
Hmm.
Luka, his international flavor is heavy, and what he brings to the Lakers as a player, It's hard for too many people to match what he does. And I
Hmm.
said years ago that him and LeBron are kind of sort of mirror each other
Right.
the way they play the game. But Luca is a little bit more aggressive, I would say now. And even
Hmm.
before, if you look at the games, you know, LeBron is a guy that let the game come to him. He's
Hmm.
not going to really assert. Luka is automatically, listen, I'm in here, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to make you, you're going to have to play me. You're going to have to
Right.
pick your poison. I can pass, I can shoot the three, I can make free throws. I'm not a liability
Right.
except for on the defensive side, which is
Right.
questionable. But he's a younger player by far. He's somebody you could build around and put other players with. He got to the finals. Him and Kyrie did that.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Him and Kyrie did that,
Hmm.
and they weren't picked to do any of that. They came, I think, as an eighth seed, if I'm correct.
I think it was like
So
6 or 7, but
six,
with that,
six,
yeah.
seven, it was late though. It wasn't. They weren't picked to win anything.
Right.
But on the back end of it, it's just a lot of mass confusion. Wherever LeBron goes, there's mass confusion. So I had somebody say to me the other day, "Hey, Cal, one, weren't you a Laker fan?" I said I was. But when the circus came to town, I left. And I'm more
Hmm.
organizational than I am player.
Right.
And I said, I'm not going to sit there and support something like that when it's not really all about basketball.
Nah, listen, again, it's just like I think, Lakers aside, I think we're seeing it around the NBA where like owners are getting tired of LeBron. Okay, because we saw it the second time around in Cleveland, and this story was put out there, but it was swept under the rug real quick. Something tells me maybe the Clutch Sports people tried to like, diminish it, but the story was during LeBron's last year in Cleveland. He wanted the Cavs to make some moves at the trade deadline to get an established veteran player because remember they had that first round pick that they had picked up from the Celtics who got it from the Nets for Kyrie. Okay.
Right.
And he wanted them to use that as far part of a trade piece to get somebody. Dan Gilbert told him straight up and down, I will use it, but you have to sign your extension. LeBron refused to sign his extension. Dan Gilbert was like, no, because Dan Gilbert had already been burned like by LeBron once in 2010. Dan Gilbert was not doing it again. On top of that, LeBron is a big reason why we are seeing or we do see this additional tax apron now in the NBA because guess what? The owners are like, you know what? We will pay you your money, yes, but all of this super team, we got like 4 or 5 Hall of Famers, on one squad. We're not doing that no more. So now you look at how Boston had to break that up. You look at how Denver had to get creative. They just traded Michael Porter to Brooklyn for this kid Cam Johnson. So it's
Okay.
yeah, because of the salaries. And it's one of those where it's the LeBron factor. And I think if you're the Lakers, I think, listen, I would put him on the trade market, honestly, because at the end of the day, LeBron's not he's not coming back because it's like he's pouting and we know where this is going. So I'm like, if you're the Lakers, at least, you clearly you could package him and Bronny, because honestly, if LeBron leaves, what use do the Lakers have for Bronny? Absolutely none. And it's one of those where like, you know what, y'all can go in a different direction because I feel like each time that LeBron has been out over the last couple of years with the Lakers, they play better. Okay, because there's more ball movement. The younger guys are getting involved, and
Yes.
you look at the last couple of games with Luca out. Austin Reeves has been going to work, man. So I'm
Yeah.
like, that's what the Lakers need to do.
I vouch for that. That I can vouch for. I definitely feel that. Like you know, when he was with Miami, the
Hmm.
biggest thing that I liked about it was what Pat Riley did. He wasn't feeling that crying stuff.
Right,
All that nah. You could pack it up. We don't work for you.
right, right.
You
And
know, that I like. I was like, oh wow. I guess he didn't like that and said, I'm out. Then hey, go your way.
listen, LeBron has been accustomed to getting his way
Hmm.
every every step of the way. And the thing is like LeBron is in that rare air that he is never, because of that, he has never had to really learn a basketball system. Okay. And again, Pat Riley is an old school guy. And you're not gonna punk Pat Riley. Okay, we've
Oh,
heard it, we've
never.
heard the stories about Shaq. You know, when Shaq and Pat Riley got into it, Shaq was traded within 24 hours. Okay, and Pat Riley's mindset is, listen, he played at Kentucky for, oh my gosh, I cannot remember the
Rupp.
legendary coaches right now. Head
A.J.
coach.
Rupp.
Adolph Rupp. Okay.
Yeah.
So he played for Adolph Rupp at Kentucky. All right. He won a championship with the Lakers. And in his mind, not and he won four as the head coach of the Lakers. And in his mind, Pat Riley, whether you like it or not, whether you say he's out of touch, this, that, and the third, Pat Riley's mindset is if I could sit up there and curse out Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Magic Johnson and they took it, everybody else can fall in line. Okay. And honestly, you could see some of that in Eric Spoelstra. Okay, because listen, Spoelstra was an assistant under Pat Riley, and then Pat Riley handpicked him when he decided to go back up to the front office. And then to switching gears real quick, and I've had this discussion not on podcast, but like off the podcast. And I've talked to people because they're like, you know what, the Heat need to move on from Pat Riley, especially after the Jimmy Butler trade last year. I was like, listen, Pat Riley is a minority owner of the Miami Heat. So, and to basically to move on from him, you have to buy him out. So, are you really going to sit up there and cough up that bread? Even if Pat Riley has 5% ownership of that team, you look at the face value of the Miami Heat, you're easily talking about what, $500 million at the floor. So come on, nobody's doing that. But my point is, it's like, listen, Pat Riley is old school, and he's not going to give in to a LeBron like that. And LeBron is, if you look at it, every time that he's gone someplace, for the most part,
Right.
as soon as he gets there within a year, it's basically a complete overhaul of the roster. No, I don't want to play with this person. They gotta go. I don't
Yeah,
want to play
it's
with that person.
problems with a person. It's
Right,
problems with a coach. It's
right,
problems with people in the stands. It's problems with everything instead of focusing on the game itself. Like
right.
I don't get it
Distraction.
with him.
Distractions. It's always a distraction. You don't think Stephen A. Smith was a distraction? And now that he knows he's able to distract LeBron, what is he doing? He's
He
keeping
made
it
that clear.
going.
He made that
He's
very
keeping
clear.
it going.
He
He's
made that
keeping it
very clear.
going. And when your skin is not tough like that,
Hmm.
and I don't think LeBron has ever been a person that didn't listen to what was being said about him.
Right.
Because if you look at a lot of the stars and a lot of different people across, over time, you really think Kobe cared about what they said about him?
No,
You
no.
think Mike
That
really
added
cared
fuel
about
to the
what they said
fire.
about him?
That was fuel.
No.
That was fuel right there. You heard what MJ said. MJ said it. He made it very clear. He used to look for anything. A person don't even have to say nothing. If they even looked at him a certain way, he used that as fuel.
Listen, Ken, I got three words for you, bro. Jeff Van Gundy.
That's it. There
Yeah,
you have it.
you know, nah. But listen. You're spot on. I mean, you guys remember the infamous J.R. Ryder, Kevin Garnett story with Michael Jordan,
Mm.
Yeah.
and I mean, listen, there were so many stories like that. I mean, there was a story where Byron Scott talked about, when he the last year of his first run with the Lakers, and he was injured and he couldn't play, and he was leaving from the shoot around in the morning to go home and get dressed, and the Bulls team bus pulled up, and Mike got off the bus and saw him, and he was like, "Yo, you gonna be able to go tonight?" He was like, "No." So he was like, "Who's guarding me?" And he was like, "Anthony Peeler," and he was like, "The rookie?" And he was like, "Listen, 50." And when the game was done, I think he said Mike dropped 54 on them.
Mm.
Or like the time when Reggie Miller made the mistake as a rookie and tried to talk smack to Mike.
Oh yeah, Millie. Yeah, everybody got their stories.
Yeah.
Even this is a good one because this is where a lot of the LeBron fans, MJ, if they would have played Houston with Mad Max got a story about that. He said it himself. He said, man, Mike is a whole different. He's a different breed than he said. He said when I had to play him, I couldn't sleep. Anybody else he go to play against, he could sleep like a baby. He said, man, anytime you think about having to play the black cat, he said, oh my God, I couldn't sleep. My mind is all over the place. I don't know what. He said, man, that man, I don't know whether it's the fourth quarter or whatever quarter it is, his gears always turn up.
Yeah,
And he don't know what he's like, yo, I can't do nothing with him. He said that man is different.
yeah,
He's not like the rest of these. He said anybody else, you could put me against anybody, I would dog them. When it comes to this man here, I'm sorry, man.
and
I
listen,
don't think I could do a series with him. He said it himself. So I'd be like, wow, for them two, them the time he took off
hmm
to play baseball, I kind of like, even if they didn't win the four-peat or whatever, one of them he would have got. You know what I mean? Like
hmm
he still would have probably had seven. Who knows?
yeah. But I mean,
I agree.
I mean, the thing is like to your point with Mike, and it's kind of like with Kobe, and like I tell people this all the time. LeBron, and I mean, I've always felt like this. You really can't compare LeBron to Mike just due to the fact that the games are not similar at all.
Right.
I get from the superstar status aspect, if people want to compare LeBron to Mike, even though it's really not a comparison. But the biggest thing is for me, and it always has been, if you're gonna put a guy like LeBron in that comparison, it's tough because he doesn't have the killer instinct like those guys did, and
That's dumb.
and it's not a slight to him. It's just
Right.
fact. It's like, listen, those guys, they were just wired different mentally. Mike's mentality was, I'm gonna drop 40 on you and limit you to four. Kobe's mentality was like, listen, I'm gonna get 50 on you and limit you to five. LeBron will get 40, but the guy that LeBron is guarding is probably gonna get 32 or 35 himself, and they're gonna dap it up after the end. No, 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 no. It wasn't like that with those guys. It was a totally different breed, man.
They play deep. They defense, man. They lock you up.
hmm
They lock you up.
No, listen, those guys, they took it personal. I think they took it more personal if
Mhm.
you scored on them.
Right.
Okay. Or like in comparison to stopping them from
They
scoring.
felt like, yeah, you embarrassing them.
Right. You
That's why I
know,
say, like, because everybody, people say, oh yeah, well, when Iverson came and did this, and when Stackhouse came and he did this, it was like, okay, that first game, it was a fill out.
hmm
They rookies, they came, they coming in and they like, damn, I'm playing against Mike. Like, yo, I gotta show out.
right.
You have to show out. You have to. You got to do your thing. I'm sorry. You going up against the greatest. You got to do your thing. Okay,
But to
now
me,
in the next game, you go up against him, and this man dropped 50 something. And it's like, well, damn, I ain't even get to shoot like that. He literally locked me up. I couldn't really do much, but
I'll say this. I'll add this.
hmm
The mentality, it really, really starts when you young. All
Right.
right. And the errors is a little different.
Absolutely.
And as a person that played for a long time, when you get on the court, these guys are really, really good.
hmm
But I'm worried about what I'm gonna do. I'm not so much caught up in them,
Right.
but the mentality is you on the court? Oh, you lunch. You
Yeah.
food.
Yeah.
I don't care who you is. You on the court? Oh, I'm not. Oh, but when you playing with somebody that's great, that
hmm
don't mean you supposed to, how can I say we're not friends.
Right.
You get what
it's
I'm
certain
saying?
players that's like that. You know who I wish would have had a good career without getting hurt? Grant Hill.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
See,
A
see,
killer.
Grant Hill was one of those smiling assassins because Grant Hill wasn't a guy that he was going to talk smack, or like
Mm-mm.
get up in your face or whatever like that. Grant Hill was like a nice guy, like, hey, how you doing? But you know what? I'm gonna put this 25, 12,
I'm
and
gonna
9 on
kill
you.
you.
He gonna
I'm
give you
gonna
that
kill
work. He
you.
gonna give you that work. He gonna give
hmm
you
Yeah.
that, and that's what I'm talking about. You could be who you are.
hmm
All right. I'm gonna make you're not gonna get your 40 and hold me to four. I'm
Right.
coming after you.
Right.
And the thing about LeBron is he kind of lets the game come to him, and then he decides to take over, and it kind of destroys the flow of when the Lakers play. If you watch them, when
Right.
he decides to jump in there and he decides to assert himself and take over, he's taking deep threes, not going back on defense. And Austin Reeves and those guys they could be in the flow, they could be playing good. He comes in from getting the blow back off the bench and kind of just I don't know. I think he's become a worse player as he's gotten older, but it happens with age. But everybody just want to see it, see it, see it, see it. At some point, it got to end. The circus has to come to an end.
Yes.
Now, I'm
Yeah.
gonna say this real quick because I'm
Mm-hmm.
not a LeBron basher
Right.
of his actual game. I thought he was the best player between 2010 and 2020.
Mm-hmm.
That's his run for me in the NBA. That's the best player that you got to put in every five that you put out there. Him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna
Right.
give it to him. However, around all that, the circus around him, from his management to this to that, and if you look, LeBron is not doing commercials anymore. You see any LeBron commercials?
Mm.
No. That right there in itself will tell you something. Because at one time he was very, very high and very, very marketable. If
Right.
you remember, he was the
Right.
face of the league. He's no
Absolutely.
longer the face of the league, and I think that's something else. They were talking about, oh, we should change the logo to LeBron.
Nah.
I'm a little confused.
Listen, I mean, it's
When
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ken.
I'm all the hype about him went out the window when they started comparing him, and he started throwing himself out there, self proclaiming himself to be the greatest.
Mm-hmm.
That's where he went wrong at. You're never bigger than the system. We all know this.
Right.
You can't do that.
Right.
And every Hall of Famer, they even said it. They was like, "Oh man, he did wrong." They knew he did wrong. These white people is they look at this, they see it. Oh, you self proclaiming yourself? Oh no, you can't do that. That's not. You wrong for that. He brought his value just dropped now. Like you stop everything just start dropping. Come on, bro. What are you
Listen,
doing?
he brought himself down, and on top of that,
And
I
then you
feel
got
I'm sorry.
Curry. Then you got Curry. Curry's shooting up. So it's like, oh, you got somebody that's neck and neck with you in this era here. What's going on here?
Well, he brought his value down, but then on top of that, to your point, you can't like just pat yourself on the back, but
Hmm?
you figure probably since he won that championship in Cleveland, he really gave up as far as playing defense and he just focused solely on offense. And the thing is like honestly, when I say he focused on offense, it's like he focused on stat padding. So it's like you really gotta read between the lines
He get
on
yeah, yeah.
on the numbers that he has because it's a situation where how many times have we seen the Lakers in the fourth quarter being down by like 20 or 25 points? And not only is LeBron the only person in the game, LeBron's taking all the shots. And it's just like, bro, if you're down 20 or 25 in the fourth quarter, clearly whatever game plan that y'all had coming in ain't working. So you know what? You sit back, get some rest, give the young guys a run, give them an opportunity. No, he's out there. And like again, to me, I think that's why the Lakers play better when he's not there because there's more ball movement. You're hearing like the rumors about stories, with Russell Westbrook, during his time with the Lakers, this, that, and the third. And it's just like, it's and this is not a LeBron critique. This is like the fans who follow LeBron as far as their critiques. And I feel like he could go on the run, okay, and get them, to the finals. And all throughout that playoff run, oh, the, like the ability, the determination of LeBron to put this team on his back. And as soon as they get to the finals and lose, oh, LeBron doesn't have any help. And I'm like, that's the same squad he had 2 weeks ago, bro. Come on, I mean, stop with it. But it's just the excuses, the excuses, the excuses,
Excuse.
like the excuses. I think back to that last time that he lost in the finals with Cleveland and Golden State. And that was that infamous J.R. Smith moment where they had an opportunity to win that game at the end. Next thing you know, after the post game, LeBron has his hand, wrapped up to basically be like, all right, you know what? We're going to lose this series and this is an excuse why. And it's one of those where it's like, bro, you gotta buck up in those situations, man. And
I see exactly what you're saying,
yeah.
and it goes back to when AD was there in
Mm-hmm.
LA.
Mm-hmm.
When he was out, he was supposed to have been injured.
Right.
for the last couple of games, they wasn't going to make the playoffs, but they end up making them playoffs. They won all the rest of them games. It was all because of AD.
Right.
And then he gets in there, and it's like everything going back downhill. Oh,
Hmm.
he's back. Oh, he's back. Now he's, but they don't look at it. They don't say, oh, well, they lost because of him.
Right. Ah, listen, I mean, you look at Darvin Ham, and it's just like, they made some moves, they got hot, and with Darvin Ham, they got to the Western Conference Finals his first year, and then they lost to Denver. And then the next year, they got swept. I think they got swept in the first round by Denver. Maybe they
Mm-hmm.
lost in
Mm-hmm.
5 games.
Right. They got swept.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
And it was one of those like, okay, they got Darvin Ham up out of there. My whole thing is this. Y'all literally came back, and this ain't the coach's fault, but y'all literally came back with the same team that just got swept by these guys the year before. What did you think was going to be different? Y'all had nobody to stop Nikola Jokic. Y'all had nobody to stop Jamal Murray. And it's just like, again, it's always looking around to see who are we gonna point the finger to and blame.
Agree. And I'll tell you this again, it's a circus. It's not about getting better.
Hmm.
The Lakers were always looking to placate LeBron instead of looking to get better and not pick who he wants. Pick what's best for your team.
Right.
Did you have really got rid of Darwin Ham? I
Hmm.
say no. I don't think he was the problem. The
No.
problem was LeBron tuned him out and showed us on national TV how he tuned these coaches out. He did it to Luke Walton. All right.
Try he tried
Uh,
he tried to do it to Eric Spoelstra.
Yeah.
you see it. He David
Mhm.
Blatt, you see it. And to me, when you give somebody that much control, it's a recipe for disaster. To me, I want to see the game. Just play the game. Forget about
Right.
all the politics. Leave the politics to the coaches.
Right.
And for me, when I look at a lot of teams, I look at who their assistants are
Hmm.
because the assistants I expect to help the players is player development.
Correct.
And when you're developing players, you need to have your best player around. Your best player can't be somewhere else while y'all are doing something else. Your
Right.
best player is not even there.
Right.
If you're going to develop the team, you got to get chemistry. You can't come when you want, how you want, if you want. It doesn't work that way. And we know this with all sports. Football is probably the hardest sport to go back to back in because 9 times out of 10, you're going to lose at least 30 to 40% of your team every year.
Right.
You're not going to, but in basketball, it's a little bit easier. But the way the salary cap with the money, who's offering who money, it makes
Hmm.
it difficult to keep guys together.
Right.
So, like for me, it starts with your veteran players. If you look at all the rosters in the NBA right now, how many guys on these rosters that been in the league 16, 17, 18 years other than LeBron? It's a few, and it's a very handful. A lot of these rosters don't have veterans. You got a lot of veterans out there that should be still playing, but are not playing because that's not the way the NBA is going.
And
They're
and
looking to play. Go ahead, I'm listening.
no, I was just gonna say, Cal, you could blame the analytics for that because you have a lot of these people running front offices around the NBA who are business people. Okay, they're not, sports people. And in their mind, it's just like, you know what? They're like, hey, why do I need to pay a 33-year-old guy when I can pay a 23-year-old kid less bread? But the thing is this, you need that vet to teach the youngsters how to get it done. And it's not just about playing the
Yeah.
game, it's about adjusting to life as a professional in the NBA. Okay. And a lot of these guys don't have it. I tell this story all the time. Patrick Ewing, 40 years ago, first overall pick by the New York Knicks. That was a no brainer. Okay. As great as Patrick Ewing was coming out of college, the Knicks still had Bill Cartwright. Okay. A guy who Pat could sit back and learn from because Bill Cartwright had been in the NBA for about 10 years at that point. So you need the vets to come in there and kind of like take these guys under their shoulder and say, hey, you know what, this is how it's done. There's never been a team that I was on in my life, okay, where when I came in, there wasn't a guy or a couple of guys to say, hey, big
That's
fella,
true. I agree with you on that.
you need to
Mhm.
do this, you need to do that. And I'm like, you know what? I sat up there and listened to it. Like these guys nowadays, they don't respect you. A lot of them don't respect the process. And to your point, Ken, like you said before, you got to lead by example. So your best players have, if your best player is tuning out the head coach, what do you think the rest of the guys are going to do?
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, listen, listen. I remember. Listen, I wrestled in high school. Okay, and our coach. You know, if he had to get on you, he got on you. But a lot of times it was the assistant coaches, and guess what else? It was your captains. Okay.
Yep, that's
And
true.
my captains were the hardest workers on the team. Okay. They were the guys there early, they were the guys there late. Nobody had to tell them anything. And guess what? You're looking at that and you're saying, hey, if my captain is doing that, then guess what? I got to do it too. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that LeBron doesn't put in the physical work to play the game because you can't hang around, regardless of the era. You cannot hang around the NBA as long as he has if you are not in physical condition. But my thing is like to your point, Cal, like you said before, the circus and all that other excess baggage that goes on around it. That is the problem.
As long as, let me put it to you like this. As long as you got players that like him that have certain amount of control over where they go, he has a no trade clause in his contract. That
Hmm.
means that he has to agree to a trade no matter where you want to send him, or he could just sit out. You can't
Well,
trade him without his he has to agree to the trade.
listen, now he has to agree, but on top of that, I think being that this is a different new regime with the Lakers, I think they're going to trade him. I mean, I feel like I'm 80% sure that it happens because
I hope so.
you're not you're not going to sit up there and get like 3 or 4 first round picks back for LeBron in a trade, okay, at this state of the game. But you want to get something because again, he's going to sit up there and leave scot free. And again, I think with Mark Walter, they want to establish themselves. You go back, I don't know how much either one of y'all follow baseball, but you go back when this Dodgers ownership group got in place and the Dodgers were already a playoff team from the year before. Within the blink of an eye, they picked up Hanley Ramirez and Adrian Gonzalez from the Red Sox. They made a couple of moves, and the next thing you know, the Dodgers had like 5 All-Stars in their lineup. Okay. And I think we're gonna see, and I'm not saying they're gonna sit up there and make moves like that, but I think what's gonna happen now is they're gonna sit back and start making moves and start to piece this together. And like, you know what, Luca, we're gonna put you in position to to contend for championships every single year because think about it. LeBron's contract comes off the books after this year, okay? You got a situation where the Lakers have a ton of cap space. Okay, they already signed Luca to an extension. It's the Lakers. So it's going to be very easy for them to sit back there and slot another all-star caliber player in with a max deal. And even with this additional tax apron, you're going to have a situation where if you have a Luca in place and you have another all-star player in place, yo, guys are going to take less money because they want to sign up to be a part of that. B, it's the Lakers. And on top of that, it's LA. Guys are going to want to be a part of that. So I think at the end of the day, going forward, if the Lakers are smart about this and they like, you know what, it's time for us to go our separate ways, then guess what? So be it.
Because everything is screaming trade.
Yeah.
Everything is really saying trade. I said they should have traded him. I didn't even want him there, to be honest with you. I'm organizational once again,
Hmm.
and I knew it. I saw what was going to happen. They did get the little trip, quote unquote. But to me, I don't think it was worth what they gave up overall. All the trades, the people they brought in, all the people they put out. That one guy was responsible for about 25 or 30 players, several different coaches in and out, non-development of your young players, and then they
Hmm.
traded a bunch of talent to get AD.
Yeah. And the picks.
So I mean, you look at all the guys that's all stars from that trade alone,
Right.
and that are solid veterans and players on other teams that are winning. Where the Lakers, they made the trade with Luca. I think that was a good trade.
Hmm.
But now, they got to figure out where they're going. And like I said, I haven't been able to enjoy the back end of LeBron's career because of all the nonsense.
Hmm.
I just hope, he, goes out, plays somewhere if he doesn't play in LA, and just kind of, rides off into the sunset. Enough is enough.
Well, Cal, first to your point about everything that's going on there. This is why Dan Gilbert put his foot down second time around because the thing is, a guy like LeBron, when you sit up there and give him whatever he wants, you basically exhaust all your resources. And you think about what happened to Cleveland, the first time around after
They
LeBron left.
stunk.
They basically became an expansion team because they
They
had to start
stunk.
they had to start over from scratch. Okay. And it's one of those where Miami didn't fall that far back, and I think that's a credit to Pat Riley. You still had Dwayne Wade, you still had Bosh, and of course, Bosh had to retire early. But yo, Miami found a way to piece it together. They had Jimmy Butler, they got to the finals twice, and I tell people honestly, Miami is going to be a playoff team this year again. Whether you like it or not, okay? Because of their system and what they have going on there. And it's one of those things with the Lakers. It's like again, they gave up a lot of resources to appease him. And at some point, you're like, you know what? We got to go in a different direction. And I think from their standpoint, Luca fell into their lap and they're like, all right, you know what? Let's get off to the races on this. Luca came back in better shape this year. I think once LeBron is gone, I think JJ Redick is out the door as well because JJ Redick was brought in there because that's LeBron's podcast buddy, that's his boy, okay, and he was basically there to manage the farewell tour. This was all in the Genie bus. Mark Walter's not going for that because Mark Walter wants to win. Mark Walter understands how to win in LA. Mark Walter understands what it means to win for the Lakers. And it's one of those where we're not here to sit up there and placate you and make you happy and stuff like that. We're trying to go out there and win. So I think a trade has to happen. And to your point, Cal, LeBron's got a full no trade clause, this, that, and the third, so he can easily veto something. If he goes someplace, it's gonna be one of those where who like it has to be someplace where he has an opportunity to win.
Yeah, right. Like
Because it's not gonna be like, oh, LeBron got traded to the Brooklyn Nets. you know?
I'm trying to figure out who would
They
take
talking about trading them to the Knicks. They can take him. Let's goodbye. Take him. Take him. Let him go. He want to go play for the Knicks. Let him go. I would let him go.
Listen, but if you're the Knicks, who do you give up?
I'll
wow.
give up half the team. Well, me, I don't care if they lose or win, but get rid of them. They were saying it was rumors he going to the Knicks. It was Giannis rumors. Giannis is not going anywhere. He got his whole family playing basketball, including the little cousin from Greece. So
Right.
they're not going nowhere. Um, it ain't too many places you could trade LeBron to.
Right.
The Knicks, who would you give up? You would have it would have to start with whoever they small forward is.
Listen, you would have to give up Ananobi. It'd have to be hard.
Damn.
And you might have to throw Cat in that mix again because the thing is
I was
like
thinking that too. Mhm.
I know Cat plays on the perimeter at times, but what we've seen throughout LeBron's career, LeBron doesn't play with bigs. And it's like basically the bigs have to adjust their game. We saw it with Bosh, we saw it with Kevin Love. And I mean, Cat's already in the perimeter, a decent amount of time to begin with. So I think all of that could be part of it. And just throwing it
Win-win
out there, yeah,
situation.
just throwing it out there hypothetically, I feel like at this point, you might have to bring in a third team to go out there and make that deal work, just hypothetically speaking.
Well, whatever way they pick to trade LeBron or whatever they do, it's going to be difficult for all parties involved because everybody wants something back.
Hmm.
Then it's the money aspect of, what are you doing? Remember, you're getting this guy on a rental. If you extend him, you extend him, but
Hmm.
more than likely, you just got him for the year. You
Right.
guaranteed got him for the rest of the year. And
Hmm.
if I'm looking to go long term to build my team and to get my team to be a contender, that's
Hmm.
a trade I wouldn't take.
Well, you're 100% right. And at the same time, it's just like, it could be a rental, but at the same time, if you're LeBron, at this state of the game, you might be running out of opportunities as far as like teams that would want you
Mhm.
in free agency.
Yes.
You could make a case and say, hey, maybe LeBron stayed around the league, a year or two more than he should have from the standpoint that, hey, you know what? Sometimes, like you just hang around like a little bit too long to walk away, and he could just fall into that category.
Time is up, man. It's over. I say it's over. I'm sorry, but time is up. It's
Well,
time to like let the game be the game, man. Let everybody have their fun.
well,
You sitting out, taking up space. You see the game looking good. So
Hmm.
when you decide to want to get back in there and slow it up and mess up the whole chemistry
yep,
of it,
yep, yep.
then
That's
what?
what I was saying. Well, he let his hairline finally go. He gave it up. So I guess that could be a sign that he's leaving.
Hey, listen, I mean, I feel like if if this was going to be his last year, we don't know. But if it is, he doesn't have anything else to prove, from that standpoint. And that's why I think like, going someplace else like could possibly, cheapen things, just putting it out there like that, man. But I feel like, again, I don't see a lot of places out there. I know like maybe a year or two before ago, there was rumors about maybe he should go to Golden State and team up with Curry. I don't see that happening now
Me
again.
neither.
And
You
honestly,
don't invite your op. No.
no, I don't see. I mean, what go back and finish up in Cleveland, play there for the third time, but I don't see it
I
working.
don't see that.
I don't
Mm.
see it working with him and Donovan Mitchell. I darn sure don't see it working with him and Kenny Atkinson. Okay, so it's just like, what do you do? So I mean, I really think that, he's I think he's running out of spots, man.
Well, it's time to go. Gotta go, gotta go.
Yeah.
Let's go. That's
Got to
it.
give somebody else some time. And you got to give these young players a chance. And sometimes ever change. And it's just like with music. People don't want to believe that their favorite musician is just old now.
Yeah.
That's
You
it.
know, it's over. It's time to shine a light on it. It's a lot of great players in the NBA, but the game itself has changed. It's hard to watch. I don't think I've watched the whole game yet this year. Once it gets a little settled towards December, maybe I'll start watching. But
Hmm.
it's not settled in yet where I can say, okay, we know who's doing what. You can take a look right now. I'm more focused on football
Hmm.
for now. But eventually it's going to switch and football will change. But I think, some people like LeBron, what they do is they got to have the light on them. So what they do is they create narratives and situations to make you keep thinking about him and keep his name in your mouth.
Hmm.
And it's a lot of unnecessary stuff that, a lot of prima donna movement and things that are done, that it just makes you think, if you're there to play the game, I look at a guy like Kawhi.
Hmm.
It's a lot of things going on with him, but basically he don't say much. He just come and play.
Right.
And so regardless of what's going on with him, he's not running around and say, "Hey, look, this is what's happening with me. Okay, I'm going to play, but I can play or I can't play." And that's. And he's keeping his mouth shut. And that
Right.
that that he's not going to be the distraction. It's going to be whatever else it is. And LeBron is a distraction, and it's more so than him, the LeBron James followers. They're the bigger distraction to me.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those, the shifting the goalpost narrative, this, that, and the third, like throwing, a guy like Mike in there when Mike really doesn't have anything to do with the guy as far as like, comparison wise, this, that, and the third. It's just like this changing the narrative, from what it is. And I think that's one of the biggest issues for me.
They're trying to make us believe that we didn't see what we saw.
Right.
Right.
Mike was an op. You know what I'm saying? He was an op, but I ain't never seen nothing like that before, man.
Never.
Well,
And I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it there. You could compare Mike to a lot of people, but at the end of the day, nah. I kind of like the way he played the game, the flair. Nobody had that flair like that for the
Mhm.
game. No
no.
player I saw, and I seen Dr. J in the back in late '70s going into when he retired.
Hmm.
By the time we caught him, his best days was already played.
Right.
You know what I'm
And
saying? So I got to see a lot of people from the end of the 70s, going straight to current.
Hmm.
And I ain't see no player to date with that type of flair to make something that would be so simple to just do look like something else. I've never seen it. LeBron doesn't have, he has a basic game. It's effective though,
Yeah,
but it's a basic game. It's
basic.
It,
Yeah,
not, it's kind of ugly to be honest with you. Like it's like watching Jokic. Jokic is gonna kill you, but it's he's gonna kill you. But it's not
mhm.
pretty.
well, I
It's not
mean,
gonna make you get up and say, hey, not gonna
it's
happen.
listen, it's basic because I feel like the game has changed because you look at it, and this is all across the board right now in the NBA. Guys don't play D like they did before. Okay. And it's just like, you very rarely see, a ball handler get picked up at half court.
Yep.
You rarely see him picked up at three-quarter court as
Well, I
well.
was the only one that seen this shit,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah. Listen, I mean, these guys, they don't know how to defend pick and rolls. They don't know how to box out. And it's like when you say those things, it's like, oh, you're the old head. Oh, you hating times have changed. I'm like, no, bro, that's basketball right there. And it's just like, I mean, these guys, they've made far more money than the guys who came before them. But like those guys, laid the groundwork because when you went to an NBA game, you knew you were going to see the stars play, but you were going to see them show out, and it was a pride factor. Again, it was just like I wasn't. I mean, you look at a guy like Bernard King. Bernard King, and like you see recently, people are trying to compare like scoring wise, like what Brunson has done, to Bernard King. Two different eras, but it was just like when Bernard King was dropping 40 and 50 points, guys were playing D on him. Okay, and I mean,
But
you had to really work. And when you say that to the younger generation, they're like, "Oh yeah, it was because they were brawling back in the days." Listen, were there fights in the NBA? Absolutely, but you weren't just getting to the basket for a layup. Okay, they were going to foul you to the standpoint to say, "Hey, I'm gonna foul you on this play, but I'm gonna make you think about it the next time that you try to drive to the lane."
Yep.
I was watching the Bulls and the Knicks last night. Okay, the Bulls were up basically throughout the game. It was late in the game, for like last 4 minutes or so. The guy for the Bulls had a chance to get to the basket, and as he's driving to the basket, he kicks it back out, and I'm like, bro, what are you doing? I'm like, at the very least, make them foul you. Okay, you sit up there and take your two free throws. These guys, they don't know how to run a 4 minute offense. They don't know how to close out games because the analytics have gotten rid of the point guards.
it's
Okay,
true. You said that. Yeah, you
plain
said
and
about
simple.
that.
And
You
not
don't
only
have
that, a lot of them don't even know how to shoot free throws. So,
no, no, and again, that starts from a younger age because it's just like, listen, these guys are playing so many games during the week. Everybody wants to get to the NBA as quick as possible, but you're
want that
forgetting,
pay.
yeah, you're forgetting a lot of steps. You're forgetting the fundamentals. And anybody who's played sports knows you don't get better in game situations. You get better in practice. You get better in those one-on-one drills because if you playing ball, your coach might see something and say, "Hey, you know what? Your footwork on boxing out for your rebounds isn't right. Your positioning isn't right. We got to work on that in practice." And that's where the assistant coach comes in. I'm gonna work with him, playing the practice and defending the post. Football wise, you know what? Your lateral movement isn't there. You're not getting quick off the line quick enough. This is what you got to do. Okay. And I think back, to my brief time playing football, I had a coach and I was fortunate enough to have a coach who was a lineman. And he was like, listen, this is what you got to do working on your footwork. This is what you're not doing, X, Y, and Z. And these are the things that you need to do to get better. But if you're playing the game all the time, you're not going to get better by doing that. And again, it's like it's so difficult to coach these guys nowadays because if a coach says the wrong thing that a guy doesn't want to hear, that coach is getting fired.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
yeah, so I mean, so it's so difficult right now, man. And it's like you could say whatever you want about the old school guys, but guess what? They were coachable. And you look at Michael Jordan, the old story was The only person in the ACC who could stop Michael Jordan was Dean Smith. Why? Because Dean Smith controlled who got the basketball and who didn't at North Carolina. And finally, when Mike got to the Bulls and he no longer had to have the reins on him under Dean Smith's offense, that's when he went to work because in those days, guess what? It was all about the upperclassmen. If
You
you
had to
started,
see it to believe it.
yeah,
I'm gonna just say this: you had to see. I saw it. You
yeah,
had to see it to believe it. You're correct. It was Worthy. Worthy was the man.
Yeah,
and
It
Bird.
wasn't Russ. Worthy was the man.
and Sam Perkins,
Sam
Perky
Perkins.
Joe.
yeah. And if for you to start as a freshman at D1, you had to be nice. And the guys, y'all probably watched a little bit more ball than I did. But the guys that I saw start as freshmen, and you're like, you know what? You knew these guys were the real deal. And I think about guys like Derek Coleman. Okay,
He was nice.
I think about a guy like Alonzo Mourning.
So, yep.
I think about Christian Leitner. I think
Mm-hmm.
about Chris
Christian Laettner.
Webber. I think about Allen Iverson. Guys like that, when they came in as freshmen and started, you know what? You knew these guys were the real deal. But it's just like nowadays, it's like guys, like they feel like they should just start, just because. And of course, that comes to the NBA. Everybody that gets to the NBA is not ready to start right away. You can work on your game and get better. I totally believe that. But it's just like, you got to be coachable, man.
I agree. Let me just say this. Let me add this. And I
Hmm.
think we had this conversation before.
Hmm.
You can go to a Division III college.
Hmm.
The last person on that bench was all something somewhere. And this is what a
Absolutely.
lot of people don't understand. So, in order to get a collective together, somebody got to start and somebody got to sit.
Right.
I played on all four levels: JUCO, D1,
Hmm.
D2, D3. I've been through system. And let me tell you, these guys can really, really play. So you
Listen.
coming in as a freshman and you're not, you gotta learn, you gotta adjust. You gotta adjust, or you just special. Some people are just special. I look at the Carmelo Anthony, one and done,
Hmm.
very special year. You
Right.
special like that, that's a little different. Other
Right.
than that, when you come in, like my toughest adjustment it took me about maybe 2 weeks to just adjust to the fact that this guy is 6'8". I can't be underneath him when he gets the ball in a certain way of rebound because when he spin, his elbow is going to hit me in my eye. And this is part of the play. I get the foul. He doesn't get the foul. These guys got moves. When they pin you, they slip and they pin you and push you under the basket and dunk on you, and there's no way you can get around it. They were trained to do that. Some
Hmm.
coach put them somewhere. You got to adjust, which means you got to sit down and listen. Coaching is like parenting. You ain't going to learn if you don't listen. That's my thing about it. And today's NBA don't work like that. And when you got a guy like LeBron who's felt like he knew it all, he didn't have to listen. And this is where systematic basketball beats the one individual. You look at Golden State, they're a little aged in certain places, but the system is still there. The system is still there. You look at Pat Riley, you look at the Miami Heat. The system is still there. It's different players. The system is still there.
And that's why
You
they
look
win.
at right, and you look at even at Cleveland. You look at Cleveland, right? I wasn't sold. I'm still not sold. But it looked like whatever system they put in place, even in Indiana, whatever system they put in place, it seems like it's kind of working.
Listen, I mean, I said this, I didn't do an NBA preview this year, but Indiana's going to be all right because of their system. I mean, I think the bigger loss for them was not being able to re-sign Miles Turner.
I
Okay,
agree.
like don't get me wrong, losing Halliburton hurts, but not having Miles Turner back is going to hurt them again because you have a system. You look at Steve Kerr, aside from playing for Phil Jackson and Greg Popovich in the NBA. Steve Kerr also played for Lute Olson at Arizona.
Arizona. Yep.
You're not gonna know your X's and O's, without playing for guys like that. And the thing is like again, it's like everybody wants the microwave success. And I can tell you every year, because we see more and more kids coming out of school early.
Right.
All right. But I feel like every year that we watch ball, and this is going back for years, there's probably only a handful of guys that you could say, you know what, they left school early and they were ready for the NBA. When Shaquille O'Neal
Live
was
up to
like,
the hype.
yeah, when Shaquille O'Neal was like, you know what, I'm out. Okay, I was like, all right, Shaq's ready to do his thing. When Chris Webber, bounce from Michigan. I was like, all right, Chris Webber's ready to go. But it's one of those where like everybody, everybody's not doing that. And the thing is like, well, you still want to have an opportunity to go to the league. What if you get hurt? This, that, and the third. And I'm like, now these kids that got the NILs and stuff like that, yo, stay in college, get your game up. But on the flip side, just switching gears real quick, some of these kids are going too far with it because I'm like, we got grown men playing college ball now. And then now we got a situation where some of these cats in the G League trying to go back to college to play. And I think a lot of that's because of the NILs, and I think it's out of control right now, just basketball in general,
Yeah, that's definitely in situation. But
man.
going back to the LeBron thing,
Hmm.
it's a distraction, whether he plays or he doesn't play. And like I said, they got to figure out what they're gonna do, or they're gonna be stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Listen, I feel like they need to move on from him, and I feel like Mark Walter and company need to really have a face-to-face like real hard sit down with LeBron and Rich Paul and whoever else needs to be in that conversation. Be like, hey, where do you want to go? Okay, because clearly you're not in our future plans. Clearly you're upset about this. We got to go on from it. And I guarantee you, if the Lakers were to trade LeBron tomorrow, they'd be better for it. Why? Because again, like you said, you no longer have that distraction. Okay, switching gears real quick. You look at Miami. Okay, Terry Rozier is done after this whole betting scandal. Terry Rozier was one of their better scorers. Has Miami skipped a beat? No, because you have all of the guys on that team are bought in now. Okay. And when you got everybody bought in, regardless of the name on the back of their jersey, listen, you're better off. So if you're the Lakers and you have an opportunity to say, hey, you know what? We can move on. We can get some guys that are all into what we got to do. They're gonna be all right now.
I think so. I just want to kind of see what happens,
Hmm.
and once everything gets in place and everybody kind of calms down. So, like I said, I won't really be watching till around December sometime, maybe mid to the end of December. That's when I'll
Hmm.
start sitting down and looking at a little basketball. But right
Right.
now, everything is kind of in the air. We don't really know who's really that good yet. Some
Hmm.
guys are, some teams are undefeated still. Everything is wishy-washy for me in the beginning, but once we get into the season, I'll watch. Right now, I hate to see organizations being dragged through the mud by, players and the certain power that they had gave the player, and it's hurting the team.
Well,
Simple.
yeah, but listen, final thought. Okay. Do you think this is LeBron's last year?
All right, Ken, what you think?
I think Ken had to tap off for a moment. So I'll start with you, Cal.
All right, well, I thought his last year should have been 5 or 6 years ago.
Hmm.
That's just my opinion. So whenever he goes, I wish him well. I hope he goes off into the sunset, without all this, stuff. You
Hmm.
know, I don't compare retired players to current players. That's something I don't do. And I
Hmm.
think that's what, a lot of what's going on with the media. But I guess some of it is to make you watch them and what they're saying.
Right.
But I wish to do well. I think he, did what he had to do. It's time
Hmm.
to move on. And I think this very well could be his last year. I think he may not play a game with the Lakers. We won't know. But we'll find out soon. What do you think?
Listen, I think he should have tapped out a couple of years ago, but the thing is like it became more about trying to win chips and it became more about, the individual stuff. LeBron
Yeah,
wanted that
that was crazy.
LeBron wanted that scoring record and he wanted to play with his son. Okay, you have both of those things. But the Lakers ain't winning nothing no time soon, at least with LeBron. Now, if the Lakers decided to move on from him, like I said before, you've got a Luka in place. You signed him to an extension, and then they're gonna have a ton of money freed up, like next summer, so they can go out there and go after another All Star caliber player to slot him in with Luka. And I think once the Lakers come to the realization and like, you know what, it's time for us to go in a different direction. Hey, I think they'll be good. I think if I'm LeBron, I think the time is to walk away. focus on your next ventures because I feel like him staying around is just going to taint his legacy. I really do.
Right, cheapen it, like you said. It's already to me,
Hmm.
it's already been cheapened with the
Right.
antics.
Right.
Just the on the court antics as well, too. I just,
Hmm.
just play ball, all the, going back and forth and the jostling with the referees and flopping around and doing all this stuff like that. It's kind of cheap.
Yeah.
Play ball. You know what I'm saying? You coming out there, you coming to play. I was always the type of person if I played and I knew, I wasn't going to be good that day, I'm off. I'll find something else to do on the court to try to, minimize the fact that I'm not shooting well.
Right.
I gotta find something else to do on that court to help. Maybe instead of taking that shot, give it to your teammate that can make a better play, better play at the rim. If
Right.
this person's hot, give him the ball. Don't start shooting when this person is in rhythm because you got to get your shots. And like I said, yeah, it's more than likely time to walk into the sunset. And I wish to do well. I wish Bronny well because I don't go against the kids. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? I have kids his age, and I wish all the young people success. But I think, the pressure that was put on him by his father wasn't fair. And I think he put a lot of pressure on himself, but not actually, taking his time and being a kid. You can't, if you're a gamer, be a gamer.
Right.
Enjoy your college life because you never get to do it twice.
Correct.
Once you turn pro, it's kind of hard to go back. Once you get drafted, it ain't no going back.
Right.
And I think, had he, kind of enjoyed his youth a little bit,
Hmm.
kind of played and tried to maximize the talent because the kid has talent. We just
Absolutely.
don't know. We don't know. We just really don't know. But I say package them both together. Or if you can't, I just want the side Bob show to go.
Well, like real quick before we toss it back over to Ken, my thing is just like I feel, I think Bronny should have stayed in school. I feel like him coming to the league was more about his dad than him because he's not ready. I think he has the potential, because he needed to stay in school, I really feel like, and work on his game. Now, I will say this. If LeBron does decide to retire and Bronny goes someplace else, I think it'd be good for him because you know what?
Think
Yeah,
so? Mhm.
you're still playing the same sport as your dad, but at least, hey, you don't have to worry about, that being over your shoulder, from that standpoint. It's so difficult, for the next generation to come after the generation before them has established something so well. You rarely see it. Okay. We know about King Griffey Jr. and King Griffey Sr., but guess what? King Griffey Jr. had a brother as well. Okay. And he wasn't as good of a baseball player as as his brother was. You think about, Bobby Bonds and Barry Bonds. You think about even right now in the World Series, you got Vlad Guerrero Jr. for the Blue Jays. And as good as Vlad Guerrero Jr. is, he's still not as good as his dad. Okay, because I saw Vlad Sr. play, in his prime, especially with the
Agreed.
Expos and the Angels.
Agreed.
And
Agreed.
so
Agreed.
it's so like getting back to Bronny, it's so difficult, okay, to go out there, especially when your father has established so much, in front of you. It's so difficult. Listen, hey, if Bronny went out there and played baseball or football, it might have been like a little bit different. But then like you're coming behind your dad, especially when your dad is still in the league, man. That's a tough act to follow.
Ken, you think this is LeBron's last year? Is Ken with us?
Yeah, yeah, Ken's right there.
Yeah, I'm here.
You think this is LeBron's last year?
Yeah, I believe so. It should have been that way from the beginning of the season. He should have just announced that, made that clear, like, all right, that's it. And not for nothing to go back to what you were saying as far as trading his son.
Mm-hmm.
Just for the simple fact of him being drafted to the team his father played for.
Mm-hmm.
Anywhere else he go is still gonna be that target on his back.
I see what you're saying. I agree with that too.
Yeah.
Because you have you got other players that, came in and their father was in the league, like Tim Hardaway's son, you know what I'm saying? And
Right.
a lot of other players that came in, Scottie Pippen's son, he don't have that target on him like that. You know
Right.
what I mean? Because he didn't come in the same time as father, all that. So it's like anywhere he go, it's gonna be
Great
it's
point.
gonna that bar is gonna be set for him, and then he can't even look at the goalpost. He can't even touch it. Like
Yeah.
and he should have stayed in school. He should have stayed in school and played a little bit more, I feel.
Hmm.
Even after his incident, his injury and him almost barely, making it, you know, I'm sorry, for all that happening. But
One thing
after
about
that,
basketball, I'll tell
after
y'all
that,
both
I
this.
felt like he should have just got himself fully back. I don't
Hmm.
think he was 100%.
I
Hmm.
don't think so either. And to touch on what you're saying, and I'm gonna say this from a basketball standpoint, you gotta have a certain amount of court time throughout your life in order to get better doing and whatever level you on, it doesn't matter what level you on, you have to be on the court a certain amount of time to see progress. Progress breeds success. You got to learn how to lose before you win. This is how it works. And if you never really kind of got up on the winning side, to me, we don't play to lose. We don't play anything to lose. But you got to have that. You got to put that court time in. And I mean, you know, not the pampered court time where you with a shooting coach. Nah, man, you got to
That's
go
what
out there and
that's what
put
they
that
got
time
him
in.
doing, I believe, because even when he was in the G League and he made, he scored a couple of times, it was like he's all happy. Like that's one game, and then the rest of the games you back to 2 points, 0 points.
Yeah.
Like what's going on? You
It's
don't get
court time.
happy
You need
off of
court
one
time,
game. Like that's not it. You got a
bro. It's
long way
court
to
time.
go.
It's court time. That's it. And I hope the kid succeeds. And to your point, Ken, what you said was very, very important. You're gonna have that target on his back forever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So and you could just think about it like this. He had the ailment, the heart ailment. He was able to come back. I don't think these people really gave him enough court time. Like being in the G League is where he need to be. Build your camaraderie with your teammates. You can't have you got your own flight, they got their own. You got to kind of be together, is what I'm saying. And you got to have somebody
because
here in the G League to
you
to
got a
keep
lot of
you.
players in the G League that belong in the NBA. And they could take
Right.
that spot. Like, come on, man. And they've been there for a little while. I know they're like, come on, this boy, y'all really gonna just put him in there like that? Like, come on, let's be for real here. We've been busting our tails over here, and y'all just put him in there like that. Come on now. I believe not for nothing, his brother is gonna be the problem when he
They
comes.
they're talking about Bryce already, man.
I think he's
I
gonna
thought he
be the
was the
Yeah.
one.
better player when they was both in high school. I thought he was
Yeah.
the better player.
Yeah.
He's gonna be the one.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
Cause not for nothing, even like, like Shaq said, Shaq even he didn't want his son to come to the NBA. He put him down with his team, and he was like, you got, when you go, if you do decide to go there, like you got shoes to fill, man. Your name alone is gonna be like, okay, well, they're gonna be expecting a lot out of you.
Right.
You know, like, okay, well, your father was the most dominant player. Are you going to be able to do this and do this? And, like, you don't have the mass, you don't have the body mass, you don't have you're not him,
No.
but are you as dominant as he is? Like, are you going to be able to outshine your father or however, like, it's a lot. It's a lot to it.
Listen,
And another thing, just like going to say with Mike. Mike said the same thing about his sons, even though they work for his company, and one was a cokehead or whatever you want to call it,
mm-hmm.
but They even say like they know they couldn't fill them shoes. I
Listen,
knew that. I'm not
listen,
follow
listen.
that man. They played the sport. They played in college and everywhere else, but playing there, no way. It's
Listen,
not gonna happen.
listen, it's too much, man. I like Cal. You and I had this conversation before, and with them forcing the Bronny narrative, I always felt like it reminded me of Marvis Frazier when like these guys tried to push Marvis Frazier as a boxer because his dad was Joe Frazier, and
Mm.
they tried to put him into a fight with Mike Tyson, and Mike Tyson destroyed him. And yo, we never heard of Marvis Frazier again. It was just like sometimes you just try to force a narrative. I think about Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., who tried to get into boxing.
Yeah.
He was never the same like his dad. It was the same
Yeah,
thing.
just because that y'all got that name, man.
Yeah,
You got to do your own thing. You can't go out there and just say, okay, my father was the biggest this, I'm going to do that. No,
yeah.
maybe that's not for you. Everything is not for everybody.
No, nah.
And just for him getting into that, having that complication, that should have been a sign right there. You know what I mean? Maybe you
Uh,
pushing yourself a little too much or too hard or whatever. God is giving you a sign to sit down.
yeah.
Maybe this ain't for you. Maybe it skips a generation.
Well, I mean, the thing is, I think if the Lakers were to trade LeBron, uh, it's one of those where I think whoever would accept that trade, they're going to have to accept Bronny as part of that trade. Uh,
Yeah. Well,
you know what I'm saying?
good luck.
And that's going to be a problem going forward as well because let's say LeBron decides to stay and play after this year, which I don't think he should.
He's staying to play as long as his son can play because he know once he leave, his son gonna go through hell.
Honestly, I think his son will be done in the NBA after that. I think it's one of those where like you look at like the Bucks. As soon as Giannis decides to leave Milwaukee, his brothers ain't gonna be there no more. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but at the same time, you think about Giannis is still young.
Right. But I mean, I'm just saying it's just like wherever Giannis goes, they're gonna be there. And the thing with LeBron, I think like I feel like LeBron should be done. Okay, but I think LeBron is gonna hang around as long as there's going to be a team out there willing to give him 30 or 40 million a year to play ball. But again, listen, he could try to get that all he wants, but
Let me
unless
ask you this though: you
what's
think
up?
if he was still with Miami, Bronny would have been able to come to Miami?
Absolutely not. Listen, Pat Riley, listen, Pat
I
Riley,
don't
Pat
even
Riley.
think he would have got drafted, honestly.
Listen, Pat Riley's not putting up with that. And I tell you a story, and y'all probably know this story. Okay, um, when I think when it was when the Lakers finally beat the Celtics in '85. Okay, first time they ever beat them for a championship. Kareem had a bad game in game number one, and then like the guys told a story where when they got on the bus, Kareem's father was on the bus. And that never happened because Pat Riley had a strict rule that if it was a team bus, it was only the team that was on the bus.
Right.
Kareem had to get special permission from Pat Riley to have his dad be on the bus with him because some people thought that was going to be Kareem's last year. So 40 years later, listen, that wasn't going to happen with Pat Riley. It's still not going to fly because Pat Riley is going to be old school with it until he's not in the NBA anymore. Okay, and say what you want, a guy like Jerry West had that same old school mindset as well. Because listen, they knew what it took to win championships, in the NBA, and they knew what it took to win championships with the Lakers for that matter. And like Shaq even said it when him and Kobe were having their beef, and of course, eventually Shaq got traded to Miami. Shaq said, listen, if Jerry West was still calling the shots for the Lakers at that time, he would just call both of them into the office and he'd have been like, yo, knock this off. And
Right.
Shaq could have been like, yes, sir. And he would have kept it moving. So to your point, it would not have flown with Miami for LeBron to go out there and have Bronny,
Mhm.
playing with him. Absolutely not.
Yep.
So Ken, you think this is it for LeBron this year, man? Or you think
Yeah,
he's still
that's it for him. That's it. Enough is enough already. We, like you said, we sick and tired of the circus acts, and
Hmm.
enough is enough. Let's get back to real basketball, man. Because you got certain teams that's really out there balling,
Right.
and everybody, they have their teams, and it's like, damn, well, am I this fan or am I that fan? I don't even know what to be like.
Hmm.
That's why
Right.
I stuck with my Spurs. I love them. I'm good, win or lose. I'm still there. Like they have a thing with them where ain't nobody better than nobody. We don't
Hey,
care who you are. You could be the biggest player. We done seen that. They done had players come in and we like, oh, we definitely going to the final. You don't care who you is. You'll sit right on that bench. If you think you bigger than the system, you'll sit on that bench. We had
but
Kawhi. What happened to him? He ended up, catching his little sissy fits. Oh, you could go. We're
listen,
not gonna hold you.
they had the same thing with T Mac as well. Because remember,
Yeah, him too.
you,
We
you
had
know,
him.
and
You
it's one
know,
of those. And like to your point, Ken, that falls back into line. Okay, who was the Spurs' best player during that era? It was Tim Duncan, and Tim Duncan would take the chewing out from Greg Popovich. So of course,
hmm
if Tim Duncan took it, everybody else could take it.
yeah.
No, and again, to your point, nobody is bigger than the team.
And trust me, there's been times where even if he ain't make noise, but if he huffed or puffed or whatever, he sat down too.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it didn't matter who you was, or how much you could score, or you could bring us back or whatever. We don't care. You going to respect this. That's what you're going to respect. The
But
system is different.
that worked because Tim Duncan was a 4-year college player. Okay, and Tim Duncan played long enough at Wake Forest to learn the
Mhm.
system. And when Tim Duncan came in, he was egoless and he had no problem taking lessons from David Robinson, one of the greatest centers ever.
Right.
And to your point, David Robinson didn't have a problem taking a back seat to Tim Duncan because guess what? It prolonged his career and he got 2 championships out of it.
That's right. That's right.
Mhm.
That's right. They respected him.
So, but I mean, nonetheless, I think this should be it for LeBron.
Yeah.
But, I think the next coming months are going to be very telling. And I don't think this problem is going away or this issue, rather, is going away with the Lakers. So at the end of the day, we just got to stay tuned. But this has been a very, very informative edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast. Ken Do,
Yes,
thank,
sir.
thank you so much for joining.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir,
And
Ken.
the
Yep.
first time, and I'll tell you like this, please do not make it the last, man.
Oh, I'm here. I'm here, man. Talk to me nice, not twice, baby.
He always say that too. He got that one in. All
Cal,
right.
Cal, as always, man, pleasure to have you on.
Thank you for
And
having me.
and for all you folks out there, if you like what you heard and saw in this edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast, you know what to do. Just hit that like button as well as subscribing to this channel. Like I always say, it's greatly appreciated. If you're on the X, which is formerly known as Twitter, check me out anytime at 300 Pounds of Sports. You give me that follow, I'll do the same in return. Same goes for Instagram at 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge. And if you are on Facebook, definitely check out the Sports Depot 365. As far as I'm concerned, one of the better sports debating groups going on social media. So for Ken Do and Cal One to God, my name is William Martin. I'm signing off and I'm saying thanks once again for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Be well, everybody.